Welcome to this week's edition of Real Talk, where real issues are discussed and real impact is made. In this week's episode, our pastor, Pastor Conrad Atkinson, will be sharing with us about coping in COVID.
Welcome to Real Talk. I'm Basil Jones, your host, and with me is Pastor Conrad Atkinson. Pastor, how are you?
I'm very well, and thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure being here on this show this afternoon.
Okay. Well, if I try to tell the nation what Pastor Atkinson is, I may go wrong. So I really don't want to go wrong. So people have been hearing about Pastor Conrad Atkinson, but they might not know who is this man really. So could you tell us, who is Pastor Conrad Atkinson?
Well, the name, Conrad Henry Antonio Atkinson, child of God, pastor of the Church of God of Prophecy in the Cool Hills at Stony Hill, and of course been saved for over 30 years now. Passionate person as it relates to ministry and being of service to and with people. And there is so much more, but basically in a nutshell, that's who I am.
All right. I heard you mention Cool Hills of Stony Hill. We'll come back to that later because I have a question for you with the Cool Hills, because once it is cool, it must be something good. All right, Pastor, you are at Stony Hill for approximately a year now or something over that.
Right, just a little over a year. Came to the Stony Hill Church of God of Prophecy in 2019, that's May, and of course to this day, been, such a impacting and eventful 1 year, a little over 1 year.
Okay, good, and for sure you're enjoying it.
Definitely, most assuredly and certainly.
All right. Now, tell me something. We have the pandemic going on here, COVID-19, something that no one expects. And seeing that it has been your first pandemic, I would assume, how do you react to this in the first instance?
Wow, interesting question. In fact, when COVID-19 came about and as relates to its impact in Jamaica, one of the things that I did was to ask a couple of seniors if in their lifetime, if they've ever experienced anything of the sort. And basically, all said to me, no, it's their first time. So a part of my response and thinking was, well, our first time. So in my generation, in my time, to be having this COVID, also my initial thinking was, okay, how do we deal with this? How do we cope with it? Because my natural nature and thinking is whenever there is a challenge, not just to sit around and cry over spilled milk, but okay, what can be done? Mop up the milk, where's the next cow for milking? And, coping in the situation.
Okay. Now, with this happening, and as a pastor, people have lots of things to say about pastor and church people and so forth. But how are you personally coping with this?
Wow. So in terms of my personal coping, it is a support system. My family, plays a great deal. So my wife and daughter, it's a teamwork. So besides the praying and the planning, we also do our relaxed time. And so who I am is who you see, and who you see, that's who I am. But there's a side to us at home where we relax. We don't carry the world on our shoulder in a stressful way. And so that has been helping in terms of how to cope as an individual, in terms of how I exist, how I survive. Family support, tremendous.
Good. All right. Now, this has been a strange situation that we are in, this epidemic. Now, what I want to say, how are you building the rapport with the members of the church? Seeing that you have to stay away in terms of the social distancing and mask, and how you build the rapport with your members?
Wow, I love that. In fact, from day one, coming in May 2019, in terms of the link, in fact, many years before, there's been a bond and just strong link with the Stony Hill Church of God of Prophecy. Looking back now, I realize that it was a divine setup by God. And so, coming in our first installation service, we continued and strengthened the bond with some of the members that we had already established bonds with. There is with the COVID in and the whole matter of social distancing and stuff, so the use of telephone, when members come to church, just the talking to, and like I mentioned before, the family support plays a great deal. So with my wife and daughter, the team of us, we take the time to learn persons, to learn names. So I let you in on a little bit of secret. My wife, she's very good with names and dates. And my daughter, she doesn't miss a face. So with the combination, and you say where I stand, what I know I remember, well, I remember stories, all right? And so with the combination, once we relate and talk with the brethren, so even if I may miss a name, I don't miss a story, I don't miss an individual. And so the family, the team just help to make the bond.
It has ever happened that you are going through your list and so forth, and you may want to say something and can't put a face to a name, where you have to ask your wife or your daughter to say, what does brother so-and-so look like again? You have ever reached that stage?
All right, so not necessarily the looking like, but perhaps there's a name. And it seemed that my wife and daughter, from day one, and I kid you not, have learned the over 100 names of the members in this congregation, almost 150 on list, and so much more to be added. And so with the combination, just in case there is a miss in terms of a face, I can easily, in fact, I tell you this, I from time to time do a lot of recommendations for a person. Community, churches, schools and stuff. And recently, I was called by the bank, and they gave me a particular name, and I was trying to place. I said, who's the name of this person? Who is this person? And so I asked my wife and asked my daughter, and my daughter, like, she run through her scanner in terms of, and like she said, no, that person is not from Stony Hill.
Oh.
And certainly the person wasn't from Stony Hill at all.
Good family setting.
Yes.
Good family
so
setting.
That's the system that we use.
Okay, very good. But, Pastor,
Sorry, and when I speak of scanner, it's not a physical electronic scanner, her brain.
I know that, Pastor, I know. But you see, as a pastor, you have to get some financial support from the church. COVID coming now, and things dry up. So how are you managing financially? Now that COVID take away everything, I don't hear of you on the street begging or anybody begging for you. So how are you coping?
Wow. So the coping, as you ask this question, my mind flashed back to a place in scripture that Goshen, the children of Israel being in Goshen, how it doesn't matter how the famine was around them. Once they were in Goshen, they were well taken care of. And am I calling Stony Hill Church of God of Prophecy Goshen? Yes. Stony Hill Church of God of Prophecy is a Goshen, meaning in the midst of all of what is happening, persons, perhaps less with days in terms of working, in the midst of it, in terms of my personal financial support, it continues. So from the church, it continues, plus personal provision that the Lord has made to come about for me and the family financially. It's amazing. So I consider myself as a Goshen child in the midst of this pandemic.
Okay, so more or less then you are saying, hey, COVID or no
Still,
COVID?
look here, man. Still taken care of. Still taken care of. Still eating. In fact, perhaps what I should have done, should have probably checked my weight before COVID, and then check it now to see if any pound has been lost. But as far as how I feel, I mean, no pound lost. And if I don't lose any weight, then guess what? I am good.
All right.
Yes, and family is good.
Good. So you're surviving, and the blessings is showing on you then.
Oh.
All right, good. But tell me something. With the government guidelines as it relates to restriction, the social distancing, and the wearing of the mask in church, what have you put in place for your members to continue to give praises to the Savior and not being so badly affected by this guideline?
God is amazing. Now, here at the Stony Hill Church, we have an amazing ministry team. I mean, well-oiled ministry team. And so, while the appointment, yes, is Pastor Atkinson, but right here, there is a team of lay ministers and auxiliary leaders that make the work and the machinery happen. And so from time to time, I mean, they are on the ground, and I could call each one of them name, and I must. When you talk about a lay minister Jones, when you talk about a lay minister Mitchell, when you talk about a lay minister Brown, that's Anika Brown, when you talk about a lay minister Althea Atkinson, when you talk about a minister Mitchell, a Bishop Stanford Mitchell, and then now we have the auxiliary leaders. When you talk about a minister Smith and the auxiliary team and leaders, I mean, they make it happen. And so while I might be the person doing this interview, but any one of them, trust me. And so the suggestions, and not just suggestion, but they put the action where the words are. And so we come up with ideas. In fact, there are two ministers who mainly run the morning service. So we have a couple of services here at the Stony Hill Church. So we have a 7 a.m. service, and usually at 9:30 we would have Sunday school, and then at 10:30 we would have our final service for the day. During the time of COVID, what we did when it got to the 10 was to, instead of having the 1 hour, one service only at 7 a.m., we split it and work it 2 half-an-hour services. And so that helped now for more persons being able to come in. Then at 9:30 we would have Sunday school in-house. We have shifted that to having Sunday school and WhatsApp using the technology. And so Minister Mitchell, along with the other Sunday school teachers, they, I mean, have lifted the game as it relates to teaching Sunday school on via WhatsApp. And then now at 10:30 we have the service, and what my technology team has put in place is that we are able to stream live Facebook and also YouTube. And again, the technology team, along with the young, energetic, and able lay ministers Mitchell and Brown, they took the thing to a higher level. I must say in this interview that they have responded and given more. So if I ask for a mile, with ease they do 2 miles. All
right. So let me say this. Is it that you have adapted to the changes that takes place? Or is it that you are saying, boy, this is how we're going to worship until God comes?
Adapted to the changes. So adaptation is always key. So whatever situation comes your way, you have to know how to adjust. And literally, and speaking of literally, I am one of those persons who I'm able to adjust to changes. And so if the time is hot, I am good. If the time is cool, I am good. If it's in between hot and cold, I am good. So during the COVID time and having to make the adjustment, trust me. Like I mentioned, the well-oiled machinery ministry team, we have made the adjustment and caused it to work. Not 1 week, not 1 month was the Stony Hill Church closed. during COVID. So when it was down to 10, we worked the 10 and have several services.
But, Pastor, let me ask you. You and your church, are you keeping the social distancing?
If we're keeping the social distancing, well, at first when they mentioned 3 feet, one of my minister, and we use his thing, that's Minister Simiti, said, no, he remember what they used to say in school, arm's length. And so a couple of Sunday morning, especially the early morning service, was all you could hear was the arm's length. So you used the arm's length for the, that was when the 3 feet. When they mentioned now, the government put in a stipulation for the 6 feet, then we had to literally do some measurements using the tile and, of course, with my knowledge of measurement, space the chairs. So when persons come in, we and then we have a team of ushers here. Oh my God, they see to it that persons try to maintain that distance.
But I understand amidst what is happening, I understand that you are giving out packages and so forth to people in the community and even church members. Tell us a little about this.
So news really spread. Let me take a sip for this one. So, I mean, with the so what you've heard about is the care packages.
Yes.
So when COVID came in and in the heights of COVID, in terms of almost like there was a kind of a fear that was about to hit the island, and persons were wondering if at some point in time they would have run out of food. The church here at Stony Hill, I mean, every month we've been able to put together care packages. In the first set of distribution, we did about 30 something or over. But before COVID, we would normally be giving out. And since COVID, I mean, we have increased. Our second running of distribution, we did about 70 odd, somewhere thereabout. And even as we speak, we have a next set of stuff to give out. And in the midst of the care package distribution, a part of the care package, in addition to things that persons would receive in terms of food items and stuff, we also give to certain members phone cards. Yes. We send credit to the phone or give them the card itself. And a part of the reason behind that, because we've been just to be able to keep in touch and to keep the connection going. So if persons need was to call or to put on data and stuff and what have you so they can connect with the service or just to connect with family members. That is how we've been doing. And to add to that, there are persons who have been contributing to this care package. In fact, we did one request or cry out, so to speak, to say, hey, those persons who want to contribute. And we've been receiving persons from overseas. We receive contribution locally, and it continues.
Okay, good. So things has been going on pretty fine in COVID. So I see where you are not really adversely impacted by COVID because you people tend to have the know-how as to how to get across.
And I'm happy that you use the word adversely. So it's not that the impact is not there, but as it relates to being adversely affected. So perhaps what was considered and thought that, yes, the church mash up now and stuff. In fact, we have found that we've been able to reach more persons that relates to care packages, that has increased in numbers, more persons that relates to services. In fact, watch this. Normally for Sunday school, we would have a certain number in attendance physically. Because we're doing it via WhatsApp using the technological platform, we have more persons being a part of the Sunday school. In terms of the services, the early morning service at 7, more persons in attendance. Also, what is even more impacting, our stream services that's done at the 10:30, we are reaching persons overseas and also persons who are not able to physically be inside the building here.
You are coming from a church which may be smaller than Stony Hill? Are there any little reflection to say, Lord, it better I would be at that church at this time? Anything like that comes to your mind?
All right, so amazing. And the church I speak of is the 7 Miles Church.
Yes, the 7 Miles Church.
Now, God is amazing. In my first year, the first couple of months when I just went there, that was in 2007, there was a hurricane that hit the island, and the roof blew off. And there were several persons, I remember them saying, "Whoa, why, look at what happened as you came in. The whole roof blew off." And I looked up, and there were a few sheets of zinc left on the roof still. And I said, "No, man, it's not the entire roof. We still have something left." And so under that little part of it, we continue to have service there. And so the Lord have a way of preparing his people. If it's his will, then it's his bill.
Okay.
And so coming in with the COVID situation it's not a deterrent at all or any worry or trouble, because the COVID is the world over.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So,
okay.
Yeah, man. So being in under God's will, then guess what? It's his bill.
Hurricane in 7 Miles, COVID in Stony Hill.
Yes.
All right. But let me say, you mentioned earlier on about the cool Stony Hill.
Yes.
All right. So you're almost saying that it's somewhat cooler than 7 Miles. Am I right in saying that?
All right. So as it relates to the physical temperature,
Yes.
being up in the mountains or in the hills, Stony Hill, it's physically, temperature-wise, it is cooler.
All right.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Very good. You have ever spent a night or so in Stony Hill?
If I've ever spent a night in Stony Hill, I suppose you're asking me from night till daybreak.
Yes.
Oh, not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. No, it's you, your wife, and your daughter.
Yes.
Okay. When do you plan to spend a night in Stony Hill? Do you have any plan, or it just going to happen, sir?
All right. So the truth is, upon coming here in terms of being appointed here in 2019, that has been a part of our discussion to see if and when we want to. In fact, the provision has been made, and we want to say thanks to one of our dear member of this local church who has made a room, well, not even a room, but rooms available to the Atkinsons. So sometimes when we come up on a Sunday, we don't have to go back down on the flat. We stay here for the day, and we are well taken care of. Also, at the church, the building itself, in terms of the accommodation, is very hospitable. So we can rest here at the church itself if we wish to, which we have done. And also we have our dear Auntie Pat, who has opened her home to us any day, anytime, 24 hours of the day. Our room is there.
Wow.
Our rooms are there.
Treatment. I see you are enjoying it. But the pastor before you,
Yes.
it was about 4 of them who came here. And before or when he retired or resigned, it was about 8 of them. Now, it's 3 of you here. Are there any plan for a Stony Hill baby?
Very good question.
Yeah.
Or probably I should say Stony Hill babies.
Yeah. Well, you tell us.
All right. So certainly, this is a growing church, a flourishing church, and so I am certain that the Atkinson family will continue to expand here in Stony Hill, both spiritually and numerically. As to when the numerical numbers will increase, can't exactly say, but we are certain about that.
The man of God speaks. All right, Pastor, what's the way forward?
So as it relates to the way forward with this local church, it's continued growth in God. And some of our area of focus is the whole matter of spiritual development, holistic development. So it's not just for the members to be developed spiritually, but as it relates to education, as it relates to the physical, must be developed. The stewardship development of the membership here, that is a part of the focus. The prayer development, that's a part of the focus. In fact, our theme for the year is committed to the call. Committed to the call. And leadership development is a must. In fact, we are on the ball and on the roll as it relates to leadership development in this local church.
There you have it. You hear from the man of God, Pastor Conrad Atkinson, the man who is leading the Church of God of Prophecy here in Stony Hill. You have the members rallying around you and also rallying with you. Pastor, I want to thank you for availing yourself for this interview, and I wish you all the best as we continue to give thanks and as you and your family continue to give of yourself the way forward in this church and to uplift the community.
Thank you so very much, and I really am very appreciative. And I just want to use this opportunity to pass on in terms of advice and suggestion to persons in ministry that, one, you have to depend on the Almighty God, and two, it's not about an individual pastor in a church or a congregation, but one needs to find the team. And remember that persons have individual dreams, and with the individual dreams, you work that in with the holistic or the broad picture or the broad dream and vision of the local congregation. Work with the people. You see, there is a saying that says, if you want to go far, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. And so what we are doing here at Stony Hill, we're not just looking about going fast, but we are going far. We are going together. And so that's my advice and suggestion to persons in ministry and who have a church to lead.
Thank you very much. A well-rounded man of God, Pastor Conrad Atkinson. Join us another time for part 2 of this interview as we seek to know more of the man and as he continue to give of himself to the Lord and to make the church and the community known to the world. God bless you, Pastor, and God keep you.
Thank you very much.
All the best now.
My pleasure.
Thanks for joining us for this episode. Join us next time for another impactful and informative interview on Real Talk. Be blessed and walk good.